All right. Quick post game reaction. Broncos Texans just wrapped up. Um, let's just be honest here, Broncos country. Not a pretty game for us. Not a pretty game. I mean, we got the dub, so that's what matters at the end of the day. But like, when we're watching our team right now, or at least me personally, we're like, it's like a love hate relationship because this team is just, it's so confusing to me, and I just can't get a grasp on if we're a great team, if we're a good team, if we're like, I think we're a good team. Obviously, we're sitting at 7-2 now, so I mean, we're obviously a good team. But it's just like keep making these. There's just like little things that are preventing us from being great, and it's as a fan, it's frustrating to watch. But we got the dub. 18-15 was the final score. Kicked a field goal to win it as time expired. Let's just dive into the game real quick. Let's break it down real quick. First and foremost, let's just get the bads out of the way. Offensively, our team did not look great today. I mean, it's frustrating because you can like see the potential, but it just isn't. There's just games where it's just not coming together. You know what I mean? And granted, I'm not going to be too hard on our offense today because the Texans have a great defense. They have like the 4th ranked rushing defense, the 5th ranked pass, or something like that. So I'm not going to be too hard on our team. But like ultimately, when you want to be a great team, when you want to be a championship team, you still have to show up and have a good game. And like, I don't feel like we did that today. I don't think we had a bad game, but I don't think we had a great game. Yeah, like I said, let's start offensively. Let's start with Mr. Bosif Nix here. Got the stats pulled up. Not a great game from Bo, ultimately, let's just be honest. I mean, 18 for 37, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. And really, that probably should have been 2 picks if we're being so for real. I mean, one was dropped. He forced a pass down the field to Pat Bryant, which, like, granted, Pat was open. Like, if Bo leads him, it throws that ball ahead of him, it's a dot and it's a touchdown. I mean, down the field. But granted, Bo was under a lot of pressure today. I mean, the Texans defense just plays so fast. So like, I'm good again. Gonna give him a little leeway there. But like, he was on the run. He was trying to throw it on the run. He was scrambling out to his right, and so he threw it off 1 foot. I think that's why the distance wasn't there. But like, I think in that situation, you just got to know if you're throwing off your back foot, if you can't get it there, to not throw it. I think he really tried to force it, and it should have been a pick. So ultimately, he should have had 2 interceptions. His other pick was just not necessary to. I think it was a forced throw. Yeah, Bo had a lot of. You can tell he's still a second-year quarterback. I mean, with some of his decision making today, there was a lot of opportunities where he forced balls in. There was a couple times, or there was at least one time I remembered there at the end of the game where he threw a check down to Dobbins when Alshair's standing right behind him. He could have just dumped it off onto the floor, had an incomplete pass, and it would have just been 2nd and 10, but instead he went for the check down with Alshair right behind him, and it ended up being a completion, but a loss of 2 yards, so 2nd and 12. I also think he had multiple opportunities to scramble, and he didn't. I'm not going to be too crazy on him, but there was like at least one play I remember. I think it was like 3rd and 6th, and instead of, he had a pretty wide open gap and it would have been an easy scramble for a first down right in front of him, but instead he tried forcing a ball to Sutton and it was incomplete. There's just little things here and there that Bo does that you're like, you can see that he's still a 2nd-year quarterback, still learning. I still think he played an okay game, all things considered, because again, like I said, that's a good defense they played against. But obviously, I think offensively, there's just things we got to clean up. I think Sutton didn't have like a great day. He had the 130-yard touchdown, but he also had I think he had another drop today that would have been for a first down. It was hard to see live if it was really a drop, if it was kind of a bad throw. But he had another drop. Yeah, I just think Bo had a couple misses today. There was a pass down the left sideline. he had Ingram wide open and he overthrew him. That was right before the Sutton touchdown. So, I mean, he made up for it quickly, but he missed a wide open Ingram 20 yards down the field, overthrew him, but then he hit Sutton for a 30-yard dot in the end zone. So it's like, I guess we're not mad at that, but like ultimately you don't want to see any overthrows, any misses, especially to a wide open receiver. Yeah, he just had a couple misses today. He had a couple opportunities to scramble. Ultimately, just not the best game offensively for the Broncos, for Bo specifically. I don't think Bo had a great game. Not a bad game, but not a great game. Like I said, he showed up in the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? Another thing with our play calling that I'm still, a little frustrated with is like, it feels like we can never call a balanced game. It's like we're either all run, all pass, and no in between. Dobbins was having a fine game. He was averaging like 5 yards a carry up until the fourth quarter. He had 15 attempts, which is like, you look at that and you're like, well, that's not bad. But like, he was averaging 5 yards a carry and only had like 4 attempts the whole first half, I think, or something like that. I missed the first half, so I'm only really basing what I saw off the second half, but he still was averaging 4 yards a carry, which is not bad. And like, it's like confusing because, like I said, we don't call it a balanced game. We like had some drives where we were doing nothing but throw, and then we had drives like I said, he was averaging 5 yards a carry, and he had a first down 8-yard run. So then we had 2nd and 2. Normally 2nd and 2, second and short is where teams, take the top off or, run a pass play, because that's like the defense is expecting run. But instead of doing that, we ran 2 more runs that got locked up. And it's confusing because like Dobbins was having these great carries, but then we're putting him in situations where the defense is expecting a run, and then we're just trying to run it right up the middle against a good run defense. And then we keep doing these wide receiver sweeps around the outside. I mean, the Texans, for the most part, were eating up our plays behind the line of scrimmage. And yet we still just kept trying to. I think out of the second half, from what I saw, we had 1 successful wide receiver sweep, and it was risky. It was close. I didn't like the play call, and honestly, we might have gotten away with a hold. From what I was hearing, I didn't really see it, but the commentators said it. The whole Texans sideline reacted like there was a hold, but we got away with it. But the play calling still baffles me sometimes whenever we are getting our plays are getting eaten up behind the line of scrimmage, these screens, these sweeps, and yet we still continue to go back to them. And like I said, I think if Bo is having a better day, maybe that changes. Maybe we do lean a little more pass heavy, but he didn't have a great day. So I don't know. Ultimately, I think it was a very mediocre day offensively for us. Again, I love that our team is great in the fourth quarter. I mean, that's like the best quarter to be great. Our team is clutch. We show up in the fourth quarter when the game's on the line, and we're finding ways to win games. But it would just be so nice to watch this team play 4 quarters of football. It just felt like we were stagnant all game, which again, there were two good defenses up against each other. So like we were expecting a low scoring game, but it just felt like we were getting in our own way at times. I think the Texans defense played great. So I do think, I'm not trying to take away their credit. They were playing great, but it just felt like in times we were getting in our own way. But I mean, all things considered, without Pat Surtain, I think our defense played great. Granted, we were kind of given CJ Stroud went down in the second quarter with a concussion, so that probably helped us a lot, I think. Whoever the backup quarterback is, what was his name? David Mills or something, was still kind of dotting us up a little bit. But all things considered, I mean, our defense played. Let me say this: our red zone defense was fantastic. Our red zone defense was great. Our defense for the first 3 quarters was like iffy. They were still getting down the field. They had like 6 straight drives and within our 30-yard line. Like, luckily they missed a field goal, or that last second field goal would have been to tie it up. I mean, we kind of got lucky with the missed field goal, but I mean, they just kept getting into field goal range after field goal range after field goal range with their backup quarterback. So that was like, you don't love to see that, but like, I'm not going to sit here and nitpick every single thing. The bright side of that is that we were stopping them in the red zone, which is like, that's the place to do it. Obviously they kept having drives ending in field goals, which is like a bummer. You would rather keep them out of field goal range also, but you know, considering we were down Pats or 10, I think our defense actually played pretty well. Like I said, I do think we were gifted a lucky break with CJ Stroud going down. You know, obviously him going down changes the whole game plan, the whole, you know, just offensive game plan from the Texans, you know, the defensive game plan from the Broncos. You know, I do think that was kind of a gift in a way. But all things considered, I think our defense played well. I mean, Bonito had big plays at the end of the game. Zach Allen had a great game. Moss didn't have a ton of penalties, which is like, you love to see that because Moss is not a bad cornerback. He just has this tendency to penalize everybody, and it like erases the good that he does in a way. Yeah, Moss had a great day guarding Nico Collins. Nico was like, what was Nico held to? Let's go see real quick. Sorry, I didn't pull up Nico. Where's Nico? Let's see here. Let's see. 7 receptions for 75 yards. So, you know, not terrible. He didn't give up a touchdown. We'll take that at the end of the day. Dalton Schultz had 6 receptions for 77 yards. Xavier Hutchinson, 3 receptions for 30 yards. Christian Kirk, 4 receptions for 20. All things considered, not terrible. Like I said, if CJ Stroud's in the game, we might be taking a bigger hit on that. But ultimately, Riley Moss typically playing the number 2 role, stepping into the number 1 role, having to guard a good receiver in Nico Collins. 7 catches, 75 yards. That's still a decent game, but we'll take it. You know what I mean? Like I said, we kept him out of the end zone all day. You can't really ask for more than that, being down your best defensive player. Granted, we're still a great defense. Like, we still have enough across the board to stop them. But all things considered, I'm not going to sit here and nitpick. I think defense played a really good game today. You know, we'll take it. Let me say this. As a Broncos fan, we love Hufanga. Our safety, number 9, Talanoa Hufanga. We love this guy, man. I mean, this dude makes big play after big play, makes big tackle after big tackle. Like, he's making these tackles in the open field. He had a great play with Nico Moss ran a seam up the middle, and he dropped back with a mid. He should have had a pick ultimately. I mean, he played the route perfectly. He played the ball perfectly. It was in his hands, and then he dropped it when he hit the ground. But I mean, I love Hufanga. I think he's like an unsung hero of our defense. You always hear about Pat Surtain, Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, but like Talanoa Hufanga, I love this guy, and I think he was a big pickup for us. Ultimately, you know what I mean? Like, he's been playing so well this season. He's made some giant plays. Could have had a pick today, which we would have loved to see, but we still held him to 3 and out on that drive. So we're not mad at it. Obviously, if they would have gone down and scored, we would have been a little upset because it was in his hands, but not bad. Yeah, like I said, man, I love that we show up in the fourth quarter. I love that we play a great game, but I would just love to watch this team play 4 quarters of football ultimately. I think that is like, we're teetering this line between these, like, we're right there. I think you have here's the line. From here up is the great teams. From here down is just the good teams. And I think we're bordering this line, man. I think if we can learn to play for our fourth quarter football for a whole entire 60-minute game, like, you know, we're in there and like, we're happy. We're a great team. We can contend. But I think until that point comes, we just can't. And I think that's our biggest downfall right now. Like, it's such a weird dynamic because we're 2 field goals away from 9-0, right? We're 2 field goals away from being 9-0, but at the same time, sometimes we just don't play like a 7-2 team. Our fourth quarter, we do. Like, our fourth quarter team is so good. Like, you love watching the Broncos in the fourth quarter, but the first 3 quarters, you're like, how is this team 7-2 right now? Like, today's game, the game against the Jets, the game against the Eagles, the first half, first 3 quarters, like, you just wonder how this team is 7-2. But then you watch the fourth quarter and you're like, oh, I see why we're 7-2 now. You know what I mean? And it's just it's interesting, man. This team, I love this team, but sometimes I hate watching this team at the same time. Like, it feels like if in a perfect world, what I should do is just not watch the first 3 quarters and watch the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? If you're somebody who's not a Broncos fan and you're turning on their games in the fourth quarter, you're like, damn, this is a good team. But if you're a fan and you're watching all 4 quarters, you see these like giant flaws that we have right now. I don't even want to say flaws, but just areas that we need to be cleaned up. I think Sean Payton needs to learn how to call a balanced game. I mean, like if J.K. Dobbins has an 8-yard run on first down, the fact that we could then not convert that to a first down, like we had 2 yards to gain in two attempts and we didn't get those. We ran 2 runs up the middle that just got absolutely stuffed. Like, I just don't know why it's either all passes, all runs, all screen. Like, it just feels like we need to mix things up here, mix things up. I mean, at the end of the second half, when we scored our first touchdown, we had 3 passing plays up the left side of the field, the left sideline, that all were like open. You know what I mean? Like, we hit, I can't remember what that guy's name is. I think we called him up this week on a crossing route on the left side. And then that's when we had, the next play was when we had Ingram open on the left side. Granted, Bo missed the throw. Again, like I said, Bo missed the throw. But then the next play after that, Sutton was wide open on the left side and Bo dotted him up in the end zone. So it's like, sometimes it feels like Sean Payton is like, okay, what's not working? Let's keep running that over and over again until maybe it works. Instead of like, oh, this is what's working, let's keep doing it. It's such a confusing thing to me. Like I said, J.K. Dobbins was having a great game. I mean, I still think he had a good game. I know, like, now his yards are, I mean, even 4 yards an attempt, that's good against a top-ranked rush defense. I think this is kind of 2 games in a row where I felt like we were holding Dobbins back a little bit. But, like, the running game was working. We were doing all passing. Finally, once one run play works, and the defense is expecting more run plays, we keep running run plays. It feels like we just can't get the balance right, and I feel like that's a Sean Payton thing. I just think we need to get the play calling balanced, mixing the run, mixing the pass, mixing the screens. If the plays are getting stopped behind the line of scrimmage, quit calling the screens, quit calling the wide receiver sweeps, quit calling those. Like, I think if Bo can get dialed in and play a consistent 4 quarters, like I said, he had some plays today that he missed some open throws. He missed a couple opportunities to scramble. And he had a couple of forced balls. One resulted in a pick. One should have been another pick. I think Bo needs to clean up his game. He's obviously still a second-year quarterback making second-year quarterback mistakes. But I think if Bo cleans up his game, I think if Sean Payton can call a consistent, balanced game, I think our offense will look so much better. I think we need to I can't figure out if Sutton needs to get more involved. Like, if the play calling needs to get Sutton more involved, or if Sutton needs to get more involved, something. But Sutton, I feel like, had an okay day. Granted, again, he was playing against the Houston defense, so I'll cut him some slack, but he did have a drop today, which was a bummer. Troy Franklin is getting so many targets, which is so interesting to me. I'm having a hard time contemplating how Troy Franklin is getting so many targets. How many targets did he have? Like, Cortland Sutton only had 6 targets, but Troy Franklin had 10. Granted, Sutton had Stingley on him, so, like, it makes sense. He's a great cornerback. But Troy Franklin having 10 targets, only 4 receptions for 27 yards, like, I don't know. He did have a great snag on that 2-point conversion, so I'll give Franklin credit on that, but I don't know. I do hope Pat Bryant also finally getting more involved. He had 2 catches for 20 yards, but, I mean, you can see he's kind of getting worked in a little more. I don't know. I am hoping, as a Broncos fan, and I think others are agreeing with me, I do hope we make a move for either a receiver or a tight end. Evan Ingram has just not been the person we wanted him to be. I mean, he had 3 targets today, but no catches, no yards. I just think the Evan Ingram experiment just isn't going like we wanted it to. But I will say this, one big bright spot is, I know Sean Payton talked about Evan Ingram playing like the Joker role for our offense. I think we do have a Joker, but I don't think it's Evan Ingram. I think it's RJ Harvey. I mean, RJ Harvey was our leading receiver. He had 5 catches for 51 yards and a touchdown. He's a great receiving back, and I love mixing him in. I love throwing him in because the defenses don't know. Like, I think Dobbins is definitely more of our running back, and I think we should continue to lean on him and let him be the lead back. But I love mixing in RJ Harvey for some other runs but then getting him out and letting him run some routes. I think he is a great receiving back, and I love mixing him in. And I think he is the perfect Joker role. But I do hope before the trade deadline we can make a move for someone like a tight end, maybe. I think that's like our big. I mean, our tight end right now, our lead tight end really is Adam Troutman. He had 2 catches for 25 yards, and Troutman's not great. You know what I mean? I don't think he's a great tight end receiving wise. I think he's okay. He's not a great blocking tight end. There was a play that got blown up because someone just ran right by him where he was blocking one of the run plays. I think he's an okay blocking tight end, but he's not great. I would love to see the Broncos make a move for a tight end here at the end. A part of me wants them to make a move for a receiver, but also I don't. Like, I like Sutton. I think Sutton's a good receiver. I think he's been a little inconsistent, and I can't figure out if that's the offensive inconsistency around him or him being inconsistent, one or the other. I think Troy Franklin is an okay wide receiver too, but I would like to see Marvin Mims get more involved. He didn't play today. He was out. I'd love to see Marvin Mims get as many targets as Troy Franklin, because I think Marvin Mims is as good of a receiver as Troy Franklin. Marvin Mims is so athletic. I mean, he's a great return man already. You could tell our returns were missing him today. But I think he's got insane speed, insane athleticism. I would love to see him get as many targets as Troy Franklin, and I would love to see Pat Bryant continue to develop. So, like, part of me wants to see the Broncos make a move for a receiver right now for immediate success, but then also I can see them holding off on a receiver and just continuing to develop Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims. Those are all guys that are super young, I think have potential. So either way, but I would love to see them make a move for a tight end. Unfortunately, I just don't think Evan Ingram has been the guy we wanted him to be. But also, if we made a move for a tight end, we could run 2 tight end sets where we have both of them running routes, and I think that could help Evan Ingram open up, or the tight end that we trade for get open. Either way, just to give Bo another option. Bo likes a lot of short check down passes, I've noticed, and so giving him a consistent tight end that could get open would be huge for him and our offense, I think. And I think that could help us take another step forward offensively. So, but anyways, all right, that's enough. That's my spiel for today. I think it was an ugly win, but it was a win nonetheless. Short week this week. We play the Raiders on Thursday Night Football, so all things considered, you would hope that would be a walk in the park for us. You know what I mean? The 7-2 Broncos against the 2-5 Raiders, but the Raiders have an okay defense. But our defense up against the Raiders offense, you would hope for not a close game. Well, you, as a Broncos fan, you hope that they win this one with ease. You know what I mean? We're a little concerned if they don't. So, anyways, thanks for watching. Started off the season 7-2. I'm loving our team. I just think there's some little things we can clean up, and we'll be fantastic. We'll be a great team. So, anyways, let me know what y'all thought of the game. Broncos fans, let me know what you thought. Even if you're not a Broncos fan, even if you just watched the game for funsies, let me know what you thought of the game. Go Broncos. Let's go.